Some while ago, at your Majesty's request, I gladly sent you the history of the English Church and people, which I had recently completed, in order that you might read it and give it your approval. I now send it once again to be transcribed, so that your Majesty may consider it at greater leisure. I warmly welcomed the diligent zeal and sincerity with which you study the words of Holy Scripture, and your eager desire to know something of the doings and sayings of men of the past, and of famous men of our own nation in particular. For if history records good deeds of good men, the thoughtful hearer is encouraged to imitate what is good, or if it records evil of wicked men, the devout religious listener or reader is encouraged to avoid all that is sinful and perverse, and to follow what he knows to be good and pleasing to God. Your Majesty is well aware of this, and since you feel so deeply responsible for the general good of those over whom divine providence has set you, you wish that this history may be made better known both to yourself and to your people. These are the opening words of the history of the English Church and people, written by the Venerable Bede in 731, and dedicated to Ceolwulf, who was then King of Northumberland. Ceolwulf was a pious man who subsequently became a monk and died on Lindisfarne. And I'm here in Norham, which is his burial place. Behind me is a pillar which incorporates some stones from the Saxon church, which was built as his burial place as the monks carried the body of Cuthbert, fleeing from the Vikings in the 9th century, and settled for a while at Norham on their way to Durham, where Cuthbert was finally buried. Cuthbert's body was miraculously preserved for years after its death and became a great focus for devotion as the monks carried it across the northeast of England. I'm tracing the journey in a slightly odd order. Norham is the kind of intermediary resting place. Later today I'll be in Holy Island, where the journey started, and in a few days' time I'll arrive at Durham, which was Cuthbert's final destination. The present church in Norham is from the Norman period and is wonderful. Look at that. I've always just felt so moved and inspired by these ancient churches, even from infancy. And this is one that's particularly well cared for, and you can just feel all the prayers that have been said here over the centuries, and the present people who are responsible for it just love it and care for it in a lovely way. My friend Nikki McNelly did a placement in Norham, and when she knew I was coming, she was just thrilled and said, "Oh, you'll have a great time." Turns out that she stayed with Judith, who's been my host. I'm going to miss Nikki's ordination to be on this trip, so Nikki, I'm praying for you as I go, and I'll light a candle for you in the Holy House. Just continuing round the south side of the church. A couple of interesting things in the wall I want to stop at before we get to the tomb of Ceolwulf. Well, tomb, what might be the burial place of Ceolwulf. Marks in the wall there, if you can see those. The side of this church was used by Oliver Cromwell for target practice during the Civil War. And here, just in the stone, this is believed to be the place that was used for sharpening arrows by Robert the Bruce when he used the church to station his troops when he was laying siege to the castle. Now, here in front you can see this mound, let's go between these gravestones, just the rise in the ground and the yew tree. Nothing remains of the Saxon church where Ceolwulf was buried, and where Cuthbert's body remained for a few years on its journey to Durham. But I just feel so moved by that sense of continuity with the past being here. I'm going to kneel down and touch the ground